Hello, and welcome to the first ever Ginger Hook Knitting podcast. I've been thinking about doing this for ages. I've been watching knitting podcasts a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I've seen a bunch of new ones as well. So I thought, okay, this is a perfect time for me to jump on the bandwagon and do my own knitting podcast, because I just feel like it's a really fun way to connect with the community as well. And I love watching them. So I thought, you know what? Let me do this. Let me try this. So here I am, my knitting podcast. My name is Laura. I'm 27 years old and I live in Germany. I'm a full-time software engineer and I like to knit and crochet mainly. I really want to get into sewing. I've tried sewing, but I'm not fully there yet. But this is mainly going to be knitting and maybe a little bit of crochet. The thing is, I'm not really working on anything big right now. Well, big. I'm working on blankets basically, and I don't really make a whole lot of progress on those. I kind of just pick them up every now and then and crochet a little bit and then put them back down. So they're more like long-term projects. But if I do start crocheting anything, or if I make some considerable progress on my blankets, I will show those as well. But for today's episode, I don't have anything crochet to show you. I do have like some crochet stuff in the background, like this pillow I made and the other pillow I also made. So yeah, I do really like crocheting. I started out crocheting, hence the name Ginger Hook, and I don't feel like changing my account names now, so that's just what I'm sticking to. But I used to only crochet basically, and then recently, I think like 2 years ago, I started actually knitting, because I just found that I really like I prefer the look of knitted garments, and I wanted to make my own clothes, and so that's why I started knitting, and I really like it. It's really fun. And I feel it's also very empowering to be able to make like your own clothes. So yeah, this podcast is going to follow the typical knitting podcast structure. So we're going to do finished objects first, then works in progress, then any acquisitions, and anything else I feel like mentioning. Yeah, so that's the structure I'm going to be sticking to. There's really much more to say, I think. Also, the reason why I've been kind of holding back on doing this is because I've done YouTube videos in the past. I think on and off for like, I think it goes as far back as like 15 years ago, because I just really liked doing like YouTube videos, but I never did it for a longer amount of time. Also, mainly because I was scared of people being mean to me. Like the last time I tried this, it was for something completely different. I was like making like recipe videos and stuff like that. And I remember I barely had my face in any of my videos. I only had them in like 3 or 4 videos. The rest of them were just like recipe videos without my face in it. And I remember someone like went in and disliked all of the videos where you could see my face, and that already was like enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, no, this is not for me. I know it's stupid, and I know that if you post anything online, if you put yourself out there and make videos, there's always going to be someone who doesn't like it and who has something to say about that. But I'm still kind of scared, so please be nice to me. And I think we should just start now with the finished objects. Yeah, sorry, I'm still getting used to this. So finished objects. I have 2 finished objects to show. I know that like at the start of podcasts, some people show finished objects, some people don't. I think I'm just going to show my first 2 because I finished them relatively recently. One is actually still on the blocking mats, so I'm going to show you that as well. But one I finished a couple weeks back, I think now. It was one of the bigger projects that I finished. I have to mention, I'm just coming out of like a knitting slump, basically. I didn't knit over the entire summer because it was just too hot, and I moved, and it always takes me a while to get back into like my routine when I move. And so yeah, I didn't feel like knitting basically. And then I just got back into it in October, and I had a couple of unfinished objects that I wanted to, you know, start knitting on again. One of them is actually a sweater that I had already finished the body of the sweater basically in February, I think. And then I just had the sleeves to do. So I decided to pick that back up and start knitting on it again, and finish the sleeves. And that kind of gave me like that, you know, that push to just start knitting again, because it feels really good to finish an object. So I'm going to show you that sweater now. This is my otte sweater. It looks like this. I will put a picture up of what it looks like on me. I did take some pictures. I don't always take pictures of my sweaters because I'm just a little bit lazy. But this is what it looks like. This is the otte sweater by Jared Flood for Brooklyn Tweed. And I got this as a kit off of the Brooklyn Tweed website while I was still living in the US. And this is knit up in Brooklyn Tweed shelter. So it came with the shelter, and the colors that I used are, the darker one here is Yellowstone, then Hayloft, then Fossil, and Blanketfort. So I really like these colors. These are like 100% my colors. You'll notice that I'm a green girly. I have green on here. I forgot to talk about the sweater I'm wearing. I'll do that next. But yeah, so this is my otte sweater. It's just a circular yoke and just has regular ribbing all over, sleeves. Yeah, it's kind of hard to show here, but I will put pictures up. Yeah, so I finished this a couple weeks back, and this is my first time ever working with shelter, and I know it's a really popular yarn. So I was really curious to see what it was like. And I have to say, it was very interesting to work with the first time. It is very prone to breakage. I didn't have any problems with it breaking while I was knitting, but I did have this moment where when I separated for the sleeves, I had tried it on a bunch of times, and the kind of sleeve hole on the one side, the gap strand got like, had like a lot of tension on it because I was trying it on a bunch of times. And so that got really thin, and I was actually really scared that it was going to break. And it looked like it was going to break. And so what I did was I just like sewed over it a bunch of times, hoping that when I blocked it, it would kind of felt together with that yarn and not break. And so I haven't had any problems with it so far, and you can't even see where I sewed it together. That's what I like about this yarn also, is that a lot of the times, like with decreases and stuff, especially slip knits, they always look stupid when I do them. I don't know why. It's just like they always look loose. Like my knit two togethers always look nice, and then my slip knits always look ugly. And you can't really see that at all with this yarn. So it blooms really nicely when you wash it and block it, and I feel like it just makes like a really nice fabric. I do have to say it is a little bit scratchy because it is a very rustic yarn, but it definitely did soften up a lot after I washed it and blocked it. So yeah, I really enjoyed making this. I think this is like the first project where I did color work. At least this is the first time doing a color work sweater. I've done hats before, but yeah, so it was really fun to do, and I really enjoy wearing it. And one thing that I really like about this is the neckline shaping, because if there's one thing you have to know about me, it's that I absolutely despise sweaters that have no neckline shaping, which you see pretty often with like top-down sweaters like raglan or like circular yoke sweaters, because I guess it's just easier because you have to do short rows or something. But to me, it goes against human anatomy not to have neck hole shaping, because your neck like ends way lower than your upper back. It just doesn't make any sense. you know? So yeah, I will never make a sweater that doesn't have any neckline shaping just because I hate wearing it. It always rides up way too far on my neck and then it like exposes my upper back. No. And that's what I really enjoyed about this sweater is that it has a lot of shaping built in. So it not only has the yoke shaping, as you can see, but it also has the shaping short rows before you divide for the sleeves. So that extends the back like even more. And I love it. I think it fits super well. Even though the collar sits pretty high up on my neck, I don't find that it's like uncomfortable, that it like goes down super far on my back or anything like that. So I think the fit is just really nice. I made this in a size 5, I think. My bust circumference is 118 centimeters, and I think this was the size that I was supposed to make, size 5 for my bust circumference. I think I could have gone down a size because this does have a lot of positive ease. I'm probably going to say like at least 15 centimeters of positive ease, but I really like it. I really enjoy wearing it. I will say I do have yarn left over. I think I have over 2 skeins of yarn of the main color left, just because I shortened the sleeves because they would have been way too long if I had like stuck to the pattern. Basically what they have you do is do like 2 sets of decreases where you have like a certain amount of decreases with a certain amount of stitches in between each decrease. And then you repeat that, and then the next set is like with a shorter distance between the decreases, and I didn't do like the last part. I just did like the first part of the decreases. So yeah, and the sleeves are like the perfect length on me now. They go like right up to here. So they're still pretty long because I tend to have like short sleeveitis, as you can see. I just get really lazy when I do my sleeves. And with this, I made them the perfect length. So thanks for that. So yeah, this is the sweater, the otte sweater. I really like it. I'm really super happy with it. And it's also very warm and I love wearing it. So that's my first finished object. Before we move on to my next finished object, I first wanted to talk about the sweater I'm wearing because I forgot to do that at the beginning. This is my sweater number 11 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I finished this, I think at the beginning of this year, but it's knit up in Wool and the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton in the color moss green. So another thing about me is that I really like working with cotton, especially Shiny Happy Cotton, because it's so soft and I just really like the feel of it on my skin. And yeah, so this is that. The pattern, let's talk about the pattern for a second. Just real quick, because I know this is not like one of my finished objects. It's just the sweater I'm wearing, but the pattern only has 3 sizes. Yeah, so not good, obviously. And I did not know this when I bought the pattern, and I was already scared that it was not gonna fit me because, as I said, I have a 118 centimeter bust circumference. That means I usually have to make a 2XL most of the time. And so I was like, oh shit, am I gonna be able to make this pattern? And then I saw it does have like a lot of positive ease. And so I did make the biggest size, the 3rd size. But I did make some modifications. I mean, the obvious ones are that I did like a folded collar and a split seam, which I will show. I'll put some pictures so you can see what it looks like at the bottom. But I did a split seam because if you're someone who has like a bigger difference between your waist and your hips, you'll know that with oversized sweaters, a lot of the time they will be loose on your bust and on your waist and then tight on your hips, which is not the look that I'm going for. I don't like how it looks on me. And so I am a real fan of a split hem. Did I say split seam before? I meant split hem, because it just makes the sweater sit much nicer and be like baggy and not tight on your waist. So, The modifications that I made to kind of like the size is that I did not like, just from like looking around at pictures, I did not like the fact that the arms, the sleeves were so tight compared to the rest of the sweater. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, modify that. So what I did was I added 10 rows to the front and the back for the armholes. So basically here before the increases start, I added 10 extra rows to the armhole. And I feel like now the sleeves are perfect. They're like the right amount of baggy, I feel. And I also did a lot more decreases. I don't even remember if the pattern has you do any decreases for the sleeves, but I did. And now I feel like they fit, they look really nice. I really like, the only thing is that they're a bit too short, but that's, you know, that's my own fault. But I'm not going back now. This is what the sweater looks like. I do have to say real quick before we move on, this yarn is one of my favorite yarns ever to use because it's so nice on the skin. I can't even describe it. A lot of the time, well, a lot of people don't like cotton because it tends to be a little bit dry and not that fun to work with. This, I feel, is not as dry as other cottons, and it's so smooth and it's so fun to work with. And I feel like I automatically really neaten up my tension and my stitches, just because cotton does have a high stitch definition and any loose stitches, like you can see. And so I really made an effort. I used metal needles, sorry, not metal, wood needles, because metal needles, my tension, it was just too slippery and my tension wasn't nice. And so this is what it looks like now. And I feel like this is probably like the neatest thing I've ever knit. Like, I don't know, it just looks so uniform and neat. I don't know, I think I did a good job on this. But yeah, the yarn, I would highly recommend it. The only thing, you know, I wish it was a little tiny bit thinner, and it's like a true Aran weight, and I wish it was worsted. At least I wish they would make a DK version of it, because I feel like I could do so many things with that. So yeah, this sweater is quite heavy because of that, because it's 100% cotton. However, there's a fly flying around. However, the drape, this is why I love using plant fibers, especially cotton. The drape is impeccable. Like, it just hangs on you perfectly, and I love it. So highly recommend this yarn. Not so much the pattern, but it's just so nice. It's so nice to wear, so soft, really, really comfortable, and it hasn't like pilled so far or anything. With cotton, I find, I have made a couple of things in cotton, it just kind of gets a little bit, like the surface gets a little bit more fluffy in the like high friction areas. But yeah, I love wearing this thing. It's so comfortable. Yeah, that's that. Let's move on into my second finished object. So I told you it was still on the blocking mats, and I thought I still had it pinned, except I took the pins out because I flipped it around. So it is still, like, it's still wet. It's still damp basically, but this is what it looks like. This is a sandbank hat. I will link the pattern and the designer, or write it here somewhere. But basically I made this for my, oh my god, this is not gonna work, but I made this for my dad. I've been wanting to make a hat for him for ages, and I feel like the whole thing was just cursed, because I've tried so many times to make him a hat and it hasn't worked out. I've finished some hats for him. They're either too big or too small. Then I started one. I used like a bunch of different patterns. It turned out shitty. I started one and I was on the last row and I realized I had dropped a stitch in the row below, and it was like with decreases and half fisherman's rib, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to catch this stitch and make it look normal again. So I threw that in the corner and I started something new, because I was like, no. So I'm crossing my fingers. I really, really hope that this fits, and that it's comfortable to wear. His criteria was he wanted something that was not super warm, but something that you could wear when it's like not like 1 degree outside, but it's like, I don't know, like 5, 6 or whatever. So when it's not like super cold. So he didn't want a folded brim, and he wanted something that was kind of lighter. So I still had this this yarn. It's knit up in Yarn & Colors Zen, which I originally ordered to make a bag, and then I ended up not making the bag, and then I made another bag with it, and then I still had a bunch of yarn left, and so that's what I just used for this pattern, this hat. Let me just hold it up actually. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Yarn & Colors Zen is mainly cotton with a little bit of nylon in it, and it's like a tube yarn basically. So I find it was really, really fun to knit with because it's not splitty at all, and it's just, I don't know, it was just fun. And it of course has a really, really high stitch definition, so it looks, in my opinion, it looks really like neat. You know, cotton has its pros and cons. On the one side, you can see every single mistake you make. On the other side, if you manage to not make any mistakes or everything looks nice and neat, then it just looks like almost store-bought, I feel. So yeah, I did a tubular cast on, 2x2 tubular cast on, and then it just has all over cables with some really nice crown decreases, as you can see. Yeah, I knit this in about 3 days, I think. So that's pretty fast for me. I'm not like a super fast knitter. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this, and I think it looks really, really nice. And yeah, I hope that it fits him. Just waiting for it to dry. But yeah, so I might make one of these for myself also because I really like the pattern. And yeah, so the one thing I have to say about this is that it does only come in one size, which is pretty small. I think it only goes up to like a 57 centimeter or 56 centimeter head circumference, which would even be too small for me because I also have a big head. My dad has a huge head. I have a big head, but not that big. And so I had to add a full like extra pattern repeat to this. And I feel like even for me, I sized up, like, first of all, the yarn that I used was a true Aran, and the pattern called for a worsted. So first of all, my yarn was already thicker. Second of all, I sized up to a 4mm needle to do the ribbing instead of a 3.5. And then for the body, I used the same 4.5 that, or, you know, the main part, I used the same 4.5mm needle that the pattern called for. So even with those modifications, which all would make the hat bigger, like this would fit me. So when if I do make this pattern, I will definitely add an extra pattern repeat because I don't like my hats to be super tight on my head. I'm not like a hat person. I do wear hats, but they don't really look that good on me. So there's certain things that I have to do to make sure that they don't look extremely stupid, which is make sure that they aren't too tight on my head. So if I do make this again, I will add an extra pattern repeat. But yeah, this is that. I'm really excited to give it to him to see if it fits, and I hope it'll dry fast, but you know how it is with cotton, it tends to take a while. But yeah, very happy with the outcome of this. Okay, so that was it for the finished objects. Now it's time for the works in progress, of which I have 3. I'm just going to start in a random order and show you this sock first. So I had previously said I was never going to knit socks. I had also previously said I was never going to knit, period. And this is where we're at now. So I'm knitting a sock. The main reason why I'm knitting a sock is because my heating costs have skyrocketed this year. If you live in Europe, you know. So I was like, you know what? Let me just knit myself a pair of socks so that my feet aren't cold, and that I don't have to turn on my heating as often. You know, the logic is there, I guess. And so this is where I'm at right now. This is something I don't like work on super often. I kind of like work on it in between like work, so on my work breaks. And I can't remember the name of the designer or the pattern. I think it was in the sailor sock set, which I don't remember the designer's name, but I will definitely put it here. And they make like tons of really nice sock patterns. And I wanted to do like the broken rib one first. And then I started it and it looked stupid. So I unraveled it again and just did plain stockinette. So I guess, yeah, I could have probably done the vanilla sock. Yeah, but I already have the patterns now, so I'm just gonna follow that. Yeah, I think I modified it by doing like 2x2 ribbing up here instead of 1x1, because 1x1, you know, it's kind of hit or miss, because sometimes, like, depending on the needle size and the yarn combo, it just looks really stupid and messy. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do 2x2. It doesn't look perfect either, but it's fine. So yeah, as you can see, I started the heel flap. I'm almost done with it. I think I need to do like a couple more rows and then I can like start decreasing here. So yeah, this is the first time I've ever done socks. It's like I always have this motto where it's like, yeah, it can't be that hard, you know, and then I just start doing it and somehow it works out. So that's what I'm doing here. I really like how this looks, like the slip stitches. I don't know, really like it. So it's not super long because I don't know, I have like large calves, and so it's already like stretched pretty far, so I didn't want to make it too long. And also it would have probably just slipped down if I had made it longer anyway. Yeah, so this is where I am at so far. The yarn that I'm using is one from an independent dyer here from Germany on Etsy. Her Etsy store is called Yarninchen. And yeah, so she does a bunch of like sock yarn. She does like regular merino sock yarn, and this is like it's also merino, but it's kind of like a more rustic yarn. I think it's called like, I think she calls it like trekking. So basically it's more like it doesn't, it's more tough basically. It's called tough sock. I think that's what it's called also. So it doesn't like start peeling and stuff as fast as the other one, which I thought would be better for socks. I don't know. So this is that. Yeah, I don't know the colorway. I don't think it had like a specific colorway, but this is what it looks like so far. So it's like an orange and white and pink and yellow speckles. I can show you the cake. I have it right here. I caked it up. Yeah, it looks really nice. So it's very squishy. Yeah, I like to go crazy a little bit with like my socks, even when I'm just like buying regular socks, because no one sees them. It's nice to have like fun colors. So that's what I'm working on next to, you know, my other stuff, which progress is slow. And I know that I'm going to struggle with a second sock because I already have that problem with sleeves. So, but like, let's not talk about that yet. That's a problem for another day. Those are my socks. The next, or my sock, singular, my sock. The next thing, I'm trying to think about which one I'm going to show you first. Okay, let's pick this one. So the next thing I'm working on is a sweater by Kim Hargeaves called Favorite. And I'll show you the pattern booklet it came in a second. But this is what it looks like. This is my progress so far. Hold on. Let me get situated here. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I've come pretty far, I think, so far. I'm almost done with this. This is the back panel. So it's it's worked bottom up and it's seamed, which I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to make this. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. Because I hate working bottom up and I hate like seaming. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like I had this yarn, and let me show you the yarn. The yarn is sandnes garn, alpakka, just alpakka. And it's the color 2650. That's that. So it's like this, I guess it's kind of like a warm gray. I guess you could almost call it a grayish. I'm not a grayish person at all. a gray person at all, but I thought this was, because this was a little bit more warm toned than other grays, I thought it might be okay. I don't know. So I don't know why I decided to get this. Like, I got a sweater's quantity of this, and I can't even, I can't tell you why. I was just like, yeah, let's just buy this alpaca yarn. And I thought I originally had planned to do the Louvre, well, I know I had planned to do the Louvre sweater by petiteknit, and I actually started it. But this is one of those yarns, as I was talking about before, where one by one ribbing just looks stupid, and not neat, and I wasn't happy with it. And so I decided to do something else with it. And then at one point I bought a bunch of pattern booklets by Kim Hargeaves, because I saw her designs like on Ravelry or something, and you can only get them in her like little booklets. And so I bought a bunch of them, and then I found this pattern, and it also uses an alpaca yarn with like roughly the same gauge. And so I was like, okay, let's do this, because with this yarn, it's very slippery, and it's hard to get like a very even looking fabric like this, for example. I don't think I could ever get this even looking fabric with this. So I wanted to do something that had a little bit of texture to it, so that it wasn't that obvious. And so this obviously has a bunch of cables on it. But yeah, so has Kim Hargreaves, I find, always does like 3x2, I think, ribbing. She never does 1x1. It's only like 3x2 or 2x2 or something. I really like this, and I'm someone, I never do regular long tail cast-ons because I just don't like the look of them. But for this, like, there's no way I'm doing a tubular cast-on for 3x2 ribbing. I don't even know how that would work, but I don't think you can really tell at all. So anyway, this is that. I'm very like excited to finish this panel. What I'm kind of scared of is that I am not going to have enough yarn to finish this. I have 14 skeins, I think, and this is, I think, my fifth. Is it my fifth? I think this is my fifth skein that I have on here right now. Yeah, so that means I would probably need 5 for each like panel front and back, and then I would have 4 left for the sleeves. So I don't know if I would only be able to use 2 for each sleeve. We'll see. If I do have to order more yarn, I hope it isn't too different. We'll see, you know. Again, that's a problem for another day. I'm just going to continue knitting this right now, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out and how it also blocks out, because I've never used alpaca before. So I'm really excited to see how this blocks. It is extremely soft. It has a really good drape to it, so very excited. Now let me just talk about the pattern real quick, okay? Let me talk about this pattern. Okay, so this is the book it came in, Covet. This is the sweater on the front. Obviously, I'm not doing the stripes. I'm just doing the regular thing with the cables on it. I made some modifications. The cables kind of like alternate twists, but I am all doing them in the same direction. Let me show you a better picture of the sweater. If I can find it. Here we go. So this is what it looks like here. I think it looks really nice. It's like an oversized, obviously, look. It's pretty long. I have already shortened it by 10 centimeters, and it's still pretty long, like, for my liking. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't mind having like one sweater that's a little bit longer than my other sweaters. So I think it'll be fine. Anyway, so this pattern, I'm making a size 2XL, and I already told you I usually make my stuff in a size 2XL. Problem with this is that it says that a 2XL is to fit a bust measurement of 109 centimeters. I don't know in which world a 2XL is 109 centimeters, but I already said my bust measurement is 118. So that's like 9 centimeters bigger than the biggest size, which I didn't know this when I purchased Kim Hargreaves's pattern booklets. I think her newer ones do go up to a size 5XL, so that's good if you want to buy like her newer one. But the older ones, first of all, I think the sizing is really off. As I said, 109 for a 2XL just doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, so basically I was looking at this and it was like 109. Oh wait, does that mean I cannot make any patterns in like the 4 pattern collections I just bought? That's why you always have to look before you buy and not just buy random shit, okay? So I was panicking. But thankfully this pattern has enough positive ease that it will still fit me. So it's probably not gonna fit me like this, but it will fit me. So I'm curious to see what it will look like when it blocks out. I think I'm gonna make sure it does like have a certain measurement when I block it. Yeah, we'll see. You know, I'm kind of just going with the flow here. I'm just trying to use up this yarn, and I really like the cables, so yeah. But would I recommend this? Yeah, obviously not. 109 centimeters, I mean, come on. But the patterns are very nice. I have to say, all of the pattern collections that I have of hers, they are really nice and really well designed. The only problem is, what you have to keep in mind is that I'm pretty sure all of her sweaters, all of her garments are worked flat. So you could pretty much work all of this with straight needles. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that at all, actually. Did I know this? No, I didn't. But if you are someone who likes working flat, who likes, you know, working with straight needles, and who likes seaming, and who doesn't like working in the round, then this is probably for you. But yeah, I'm not saying I won't make another one of the patterns that are in the pattern collections that I do already have. But yeah, this is just one, I need to finish this one first. But I have to say, I do really like the fabric, and I really like the yarn, and I really like the pattern. I really like cables. So I'm very excited. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to finish it, but I hope soon. I hope before February. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But this is that. So that's the second work in progress. Yeah. The next one I have is something that I feel like everyone is working on right now. Everyone and me, which is a Sophie shawl. This is how far I am so far. I was a good knitter and sewed in all my ends already, so that's why there are no ends here, except this. I ran out of yarn, so I need to connect a new ball of yarn. But oh my god, sorry, this is really hard to show. But yeah, this is my Sophie shawl. I'm decreasing now, as you can see. This is where the decrease, where it started decreasing. So it's really fun to work on. It's really kind of mindless, but still has a little bit of interest, because you have to make sure you count the rows so that you know where to do your decrease, because I find it's really hard to see on garter stitch where I did my decrease or increase. So yeah, hoping to finish this soon, because it does like knit up pretty fast. And the yarn I'm using for that, oh, by the way, I'm making the largest size in that, because I want it to be nice and big and fluffy. The yarn I'm using for that is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in Brown Bear. This is my first time using Knitting for Olive in general, and of course my first time using heavy merino, and I really like it so far. Like, it is a little bit like rustic. I don't want to say rustic, but it is a tiny bit rustic. It's definitely not as soft as other merinos I've felt, but I like that. I like using rustic yarns. I don't like, another thing you should know about me is I don't use mohair, mainly because, well, there are two reasons. One, because I don't want to, and two, because I don't like the way that it looks. Like, not that I don't like the way that it looks in general, like when other people make stuff with mohair, it's fine. Like, I'm just like not a huge fan of it, and so I don't think, like, I'm not gonna use it. So, I really like kind of rustic yarns. This is not a perfect example for like a true rustic yarn, but it definitely is a little bit like on the rougher side, compared to, for example, I'm just thinking of like Rosy Green Wool, which is also a German brand. Their merino is just really, really soft. And because of that, it pills really fast as well. My mom made a cardigan with Rosy Green Wool merino, and it just pills a lot. And so that's why I really like rustic yarns, because they don't like pill as much, and they usually like soften up with washing anyway. So yeah, I really like this color also. I know like petiteknit in her, I don't know if I mentioned if it was a petiteknit pattern, but it's a petiteknit pattern. On her pattern like description on Ravelry, she made one with like a really, really dark chocolatey brown, and I think it was like had also like cashmere in it or something. And I love the color of that, so I wanted to find something similar, and this is the most similar thing I could find. I mean, it isn't as chocolatey, and it definitely is a little bit darker. It's almost like almost black, like it's as the darkest brown you could probably get. But I really, really like this color. I really like it, and I might also like make a sweater in this color sometime in the future. But yeah, I'm really, really liking this so far. I'm very curious to see what it's like when I wash it and block it. That should be done pretty soon, because I am not working on my dad's hat anymore. So now I can go back to working on my other projects. Yeah, so I don't think I have any more works in progress. I do have some acquisitions, but the thing is I don't have them here with me, so I'm debating it, like if I should even talk about them, but I think I will. So I got them sent to my parents' house because their like whole like mail like package situation is a lot more reliable than here at my place in my apartment building. So I usually get stuff that's like valuable, or that I don't want to get lost or misplaced or whatever, sent to them. So the first acquisition I have is just a little like notions pouch, and I will put pictures up so you can see what I'm talking about. It's by Coco Knit. Is it Coco Knit or something like that? I got it off of Etsy, and it's just like this little roll with a bunch of different pouches in it where you can put your stitch markers, your needles, whatever. So I'm curious to see how that, how practical it is basically. But I definitely need more like organizational things within my knitting. I don't really have any project bags either. Because I used to order from Lovecrafts a lot, and they always give you like these organza little pouches, and so I usually put my stuff in there, or I just put it in like okay, I'm exposing myself now. In this basket, right? And you can see how messy it is in there. Yeah, so, and you can see the needles poking out and everything. It's just not an optimal situation, but I'm too lazy to do anything else. So that's where my knitting stuff, my projects are in, usually. And so, yeah, I need to get like some more organization going there, because I feel like I will greatly benefit from that, and I will spend way less time untangling stuff. So that's the first thing. And then I also got some stitch markers for them, just like regular round stitch markers. And then exciting is recently I ordered some yarn, a sweater's quantity of yarn, for an Aro sweater. I always want to say Aro, but it's Aros sweater. I'm not even sure if you pronounce it that way, but Aro sweater, Aros sweater, sorry. And the yarn I ordered for that is de Rare Natura Ulysse, which it's a French brand, I believe. So it's, I guess, pronounced Ulysse. So I got that in the color Darjeeling, which is 100% my color. It's like this greeny, browny, like it's just my color basically. Hopefully I'll be able to show it next time because I'll already have started knitting the sweater with it. And yeah, so I got that sweater's quantity worth of that. And I'm very excited to start that. I know the sweater actually has like stripes on it. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of stripes, but what I need right now is a plain sweater that's going to fit with almost everything that I have in my closet, and also one that isn't like hugely oversized, because I think all of the sweaters I have, besides maybe one that I don't really wear that much anymore, or have at least 15 centimeters of positive ease, and I wanted something that was a little bit more close fitting with like max 10 centimeters of positive ease, maybe just like 8. So I thought that the RO sweater would be a good pattern to choose for that, because it has the same like shoulder construction as the April cardigan and as the terrazzo sweater. Yeah, and I just really liked the way that it looked and the way that it fit, and I really liked the neck shaping because it goes down pretty low, and I really like that. So yeah, the only thing is that that pattern only goes up to a size 3XL. I think this was before petiteknit expanded her size range. So I don't know, I'm probably gonna have to knit the biggest size because someone else knitted this sweater in Ulysse, and they, I think, had to size up because the gauge was a little bit too small. So we'll see. I need to do a gauge swatch and then we'll see what I end up doing. Anyway, so I'm very, very excited for that, to have a sweater that's a little bit more like not as large as this. Yeah, and then I also, in the same order, ordered a one ball of Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Mondim in, I don't remember which color. I think they only have numbers for colors, but I will put the color way up here somewhere. It's basically this like rust orange color, almost like the color of my curtains here, if you can see. Yeah, almost this color. And I am going to make a Sophie scarf out of that. So I'm making the shawl, the Sophie shawl, and I wanted to make the Sophie scarf because I've been seeing it everywhere. People are making it. I need one. I need one because I feel like I would get a lot of wear out of it, because especially when I'm like walking my dog and I just need something, just like a little something on my neck so my neck isn't cold. And I feel like it's just like the perfect color as well, like a little, it's pretty, like the color is pretty intense, and so I think it would be really nice, you know, with my other clothes, just like a pop of color. I have this vision in my head and I know that it's gonna look great. So that's what I'm gonna make with that. It's sock weight. I don't even remember which yarn weight the pattern calls for. I think you either knit, I know you either knit in like a 3 or 3.5 millimeter needle, but I don't remember if it's like fingering or DK. Maybe fingering, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a sock weight, so it's fingering. It should work fine. Like, if not, I will modify it a little bit, make it either wider, longer, whatever. So I'm very excited to cast those on. But yeah, as I said, they have arrived, so they are there, but they're at my parents' place, and I'm actually going there today to pick those up, so I'm very excited. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about now. I know that when I watch this back, I will watch it and be like, oh, why didn't I mention this? Why didn't I mention this? But honestly, it's not like, it's like I'm the only person who will notice that, and it's not like anyone cares except me. So yeah, I think that was basically it. I'm excited to continue this. I think I will either do one of these podcasts every 3 weeks or every month. I was first thinking about doing one every 2 weeks, but then I was like, I don't knit that fast. I don't think I would have enough to show every 2 weeks, but we'll see. So I think either every 3 weeks or every month is a more realistic thing for me. And if I think of anything else to, like any other video to make in between that time, I will make that. I've been thinking about talking about my needles, because I feel like that's always something interesting to watch. At least I love, you know, watching other people talking about which needles they use and why they like them and stuff like that. So yeah, I might make one of those videos, but I think at least for now, probably expect another episode in like 3 or 4 weeks time. So yeah, thank you for sticking around until this point, and thank you for listening. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, any feedback, whatever, please let me know, but please be nice to me because I will cry. No, I'm just kidding, but not really. So yeah, leave some comments, whatever. I'm definitely excited to continue this and to, you know, meet new people who also have podcasts, and just kind of engage more with the knitting community. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode, whenever that is. Bye.